pound of black powder. Now the bigger guns, the field guns, have the bigger wheels, they used a full pound of black powder. When these are smaller, they only need a half a pound. They had 3 different types of shot they would carry. See that little ammo box there, or that limber down there? That box would carry 10 rounds, that limber would carry 20. They would have a few solid shot, which were painted black. You wanted to, say if you were against a fortification, had logs built up or fort, something like that you want to knock down, you would use solid shot, so just like bowling ball. Now, this is anti-personnel. You won't kill people with this. This is hollowed out. You ever seen the outside of an American hand grenade, how it's got grooves on the outside? Well, this has got grooves on the inside. Some of them are solid and smooth, but some of them had grooves. So when it exploded, it would fragment about 16, 24 smaller pieces. And inside of that is gunpowder and a bunch of little iron balls. And this is a fuse on the top here. And you can see these little grooves. You can time it from 1 second all the way to 8 seconds. And say if the gunner saw troops out there at say 500 yards, he'd probably call for a 7 or 8 second fuse. They punch a hole in that using a prick just like this. You just punch a hole at the 7 or 8 second mark, and hopefully if it worked right, 6 or 7 seconds after it left the barrel, it would explode. If it didn't work right, it would blow up and kill you.
Yeah.
Or what most often happened, it wouldn't go off at all. It would just act like a solid ball. So they find unexploded cannonballs to this day at all the old battle sites. Some major cities now built on top of the battle sites, they still find unexploded rounds. That was what they call a canister. It's like a giant shotgun shell. Inside that coffee-looking can is a gunpowder, not gunpowder, but sawdust and 127 69 caliber lead balls.
You hear that, Robert? And sawdust.
That's for when they got awful close.
You work with all day.
If you had a bunch of men marching, say at 50 to 100 yards in front of you, that's going to put a big hole in their line.
Excuse me, sir?
It'll spread out. It's a smooth bore.
Can I see that?
It'll spread out, and like I said, take out a lot of men. Now, normally, if you had, see a limber down there, hold about 2 horses. And that's what pulls the cannon when you get to the battle. You unhitch or unlimber and go into action. You would have a driver, the left side horse. You would have powder monkey. You would have 4 men manning the gun. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. We're fixing to fire this thing. You'd have the gunner, whose job was to aim, and they had a thing they would stick in their barrel to give them the elevation. A real good gunner, he wouldn't need all that. He could tell if he's had any experience at all. He could just look and know how high to put it and what else. He could raise it, lower it, or aim it this way. You have the sergeant, and you have usually a second lieutenant commanding the gun. So it takes a lot of men to fire it. We're just doing it like a skeleton crew. But every man knows everybody else's job, because during a battle, they're going to get shot. Because if you've ever seen any of the Civil War movies, when you take a gun, it takes a bigger man than me to try to, when the commander says, take that gun, you know, if you see this thing go off, you see they're a lot better men than we are these days.
Okay, you see this up here? That's the way the round would come. This would be powder in a silk bag. To give you an idea of something similar, a woman's pantyhose or a woman's hose is a good example. Put a half a pound of powder down in the foot, and that's similar. Silk is a lot tighter woven, but that gives you an idea of what the thing is. And that bag would have a half a pound. You can break it. Okay. Have a half a pound of powder in it, and that's the way it would come. But it's a silk bag. That's why they're very, very careful with the
working together to shoot a gun.
Just fired the cannon. We ready?
That is funny.
All right.
That is hilarious.
Cannon, and the number 3 man over here puts his finger over the pin.
That is awesome.
And the reason is you don't want residue down in there. This is a worm. I'm going to clean out the residue from the last round that we fired.
We use aluminum foil because it won't hold an ember. It's a whole lot safer than silk.
So you got this guy doing the worm, this guy standing here, and he will turn around and do a wet sponge. This guy here will turn around and do a dry sponge. Advance around. That's the next command, is advance around. The powder monkey comes up. The powder monkey stays way back over there because during the battle, if a spark hits her bag, she's got several rounds in it. And the next thing you know, the powder's blowing up, it kills her. All this shrapnel and stuff is going out, kill the horse and kill the gunner. So, advance the round, comes here, you put it there. Round, you notice I'm going to hold this in my fingertips. Thank you. I'm going to hold it in my fingertips. And when I get ready to ram, I'm going to throw this thing and get out of the way just in case there's a spark back there. If there's a spark back there, the round goes off, the rod is of course destroyed, but I don't get hurt. If I stand here with my hands and round, I could lose my arms, which means I'm dead, I'm going to bleed to death. No medical attention on the battlefield if I'm dumb enough to step out in front of it and it goes off and cut me in half. Ruin your day. Make John Wayne cry. The next command would be prick. This is a prick. It's a brass rod. Will not conduct a static charge. Anybody ever walked across the floor, touched the doorknob, got shot? Any of you little guys ever walk across the floor and go over and touch your little brother or sister and shock them? No, nobody here would do that. So it's prick. We got to punch a hole in that silk bag.
I would. I have. Sorry, Rachel.
The next command would be prime. Now that's what this man here does. He pricks. The man over there keeps his thumb over the fence, and then he primes. This is a primer. This is an exact replica of the primer used in the War of 1860. If you look in the bottom, you see the little black stuff? That's black powder. You see that? Black powder. And what happens is, you pull the wire, creates a spark, ignites the powder, and the powder flashes down into the powder charge. And the gunner attaches a lanyard, and then like he said, there'll be a second lieutenant out here. Sometimes they would get killed and somebody else takes over. Now's the time. I'm going to turn my hearing aid off. Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Ready! Aim! Fire! Now, let me show you what happens if we don't cover the fence. Watch what happens if we don't cover the fence. That acts like a bellows. I do that, push that in, air goes in, that little ember back there flames up, I pull it out, it flames up. It's just like a blacksmith's bellows.
Good crew can fire 3 times a minute.
We're a good crew and we can get 3 times a minute.